What's up, Sheepdog Nation? Welcome to another episode of Sheepdog Nation with your host, Autumn Clifford. I'm really excited to have you here. I want to apologize because last week I did not put out an episode, and I'm going to tell you why right now. I'm going to out myself. So if you are brand new to me, you won't know this, but if you know me, then you know that my fiance and I, my police academy sweetheart, he's a state trooper, we are getting married in 117 days. And let me just tell you, it is a lot of freaking work. So between my wedding planning, my house, we're doing a ton of renovations. We're completely redoing our front yard. So between that happening, I've launched the Lady Sheepdog Academy. I actually just put out a marketing campaign for that. So between that and now I'm back finishing up my master's degree. I had about a third of the way done. So I will be graduated with my master's in criminal justice in March so that I can actually teach. I want to teach at the college level. And so between all of that, there was no way, my mind was not even clear to talk with you. So you have to forgive me for that. But today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about fear. Okay. And it is something that, not a lot of people talk about the way that I'm going to talk to you about it because, don't take this the wrong way, guys, because I love you. But a lot of men, especially male officers, they're not willing to come out and talk about this stuff. They're not willing to come out and be kind of raw about it. But I am, probably because I'm a female. The second thing is I just don't give a shit. So, so at this point in time, I'm just going to tell you really quickly that if you do not have headphones on or you're around children, it's a really good time to turn this podcast down and put headphones on because I do swear. And I'm going to tell you exactly like it is. If you're brand new to me, I want to welcome you. I am medically retired. I've been on the job since I've been 20 years old. Unfortunately, I had to get out of the job when I was about 27 years old due to a back injury. And instead of just, standing by and, watching this war on cops, I figured, you know what? I love law enforcement. I still bleed blue. And so I'm going to do the best that I can to support you guys. And so here I am. And this is also why I created the Lady Sheepdog movement. So if you're a female who is looking to become a police officer or you are a female officer, get your ass in there. There's going to be a link below. You can read all about it. It's free for 7 days and then it's $27 a month. I'm telling you right now. It's the best thing that I've ever seen. It's the first program nationwide for female officers. It's a sisterhood. Not only do you learn, you come in and we talk about shit. It's real world stuff, but there's a library with over hundreds of hours of training on there from me to you, from all of my experiences. And it's super helpful. We've got ladies getting jobs already, and I think we've only been in operation not even a full month, which is fucking fantastic. So okay, so let's get on and talk about today's topic, which is fear. Okay. The reason I want to talk about fear is because especially I think that there's just a really big misconception that cops don't get scared, or that as a cop, you better not be afraid of shit. And this really fires me up because I can tell you firsthand, I can't tell you how many times I was fucking scared as fuck. Now, just because I got fucking scared. And sometimes I would get really fucking scared because I'm just thinking about all the shit that's going to happen. So where my head goes, and maybe as an officer, you can relate, but where my head goes is I always go to okay, what's the consequences of, these actions? So what's the consequences of going and confronting a drunk guy who possibly has a gun? Or what are the consequences of running in and, tearing apart this domestic violence scene that's going on. And then I get him about to be handcuffed and then she jumps on my back. True story. And what are the consequences of that? What are the consequences of not waiting for my backup? What are the consequences of kicking down this door, even though legally I can? What the hell's on the other side? And sometimes I get fucking scared, especially, in the beginning. And I don't, I think that as you do this job, the fear of certain situations, go away. But I found myself getting fucking scared to see a dead body as far as somebody who, was suicidal, or obviously a body that was fucking there for a week, because that is awful, and just shit like that. And I'm like, that wasn't like scared. That was more like, fuck, dude. Like, I do not want to deal with this. Fuck. Like, I don't want to smell this. Like, oh my God. And then like, once you get past like all of that, then like you have to like, for me, and maybe you don't, but I can tell you what I do, or what I would do is I would kind of get into that person's head a little bit and like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, why did this person commit suicide? Like, what the hell's going on in their life? Or, a lot of times, we had like older people die, so we deal with that a lot. But like even the younger people, and they're like dead, and you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, what happened? Or like if it's a drug overdose. And sometimes, a lot of times actually, we're seeing these good kids who are ODing, and you're like, fuck, like what the hell happened to this kid? And like, you get a little fucking, I don't know, it got in my head a little bit. But like after you do it enough times, like you honestly just become numb to it. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but like you deal with that. But I'm just trying to tell you, like, I did have those emotions. And so if you're feeling these emotions, what I'm trying to tell you on this episode is that you're fucking normal, and that I just don't know. Like, let's ponder this together. Like, I just don't know if it's if it is the right thing for, all of us as law enforcement officers across the country. Like, is it good for us to just like show no fear about anything? Like, and I'm not saying like in public, like, of course we need to be friggin' Batman in public. Like, I get that. But here's the deal. Like, going back to the station and just being able to kind of talk about shit with people, or going, pulling up car and just being able to level with your buddy, your partner. Like, I really don't think that's done enough. Like, I know like there would be times like I'd pull up car and I'd level with like one of the guys, and they totally would not level with me. And like, I knew they were shitting a fucking brick about whatever. It's like, dude, like, oh my God, this almost just happened. Like, we almost just had to get into a fight, or like, holy fuck, like we almost just had to fucking like shoot this guy or girl or whatever. Like, oh my God, that was like fucking awful. I was kind of fucking scared for a minute, dude. And like, no, like they would not level with me. And I just don't think that's healthy. And here's why, you guys. When we look at the statistics and we take a look at like, if you look at like cops who have been on the job 25 years, and you look like now, not 10 years ago cops, okay? Because 10 years ago, like, who are like retired, they're doing all right because their fucking job was nothing like what we're doing now. And like, and if you go and you talk to a guy or a girl who's been on the job like 23, 24, 25 years now, they're like, holy fuck, everything has changed. I need to retire, right? I'm not even talking about that. Like, I'm talking about guys who are like, even the guys that are just like retiring right now, right? Like right now. And they're like, they're burnt because for the last 5 years, they've been dealing with fucking this world that has been crazy, and we're still really low on resources like always. And our trainings, I just do not feel like our emotional survival, our emotional training, I just don't think it's up to par, because otherwise our suicide rate in law enforcement probably wouldn't be as high as the fucking rate where we're getting killed in the line of duty. Right. And so what I'm trying to say is, and I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything about, the suicide rate in law enforcement. I don't. Okay. Like, I don't know why it's happening, but I have some ideas. I'm sure you do too. But like, one of those ideas is the fact that like, we're not able to just fucking be real ever. Like, we're just not able to be real. Like, I'll never forget one night, this fucking guy, I'll tell you, but one of the most times I was most fucking scared. Like, this is probably the scariest thing I ever had to deal with as a cop. And maybe you can relate to this. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to see that, like, I'm normal, you're normal, this is normal. Acting like we don't get scared is bullshit, and it's going to fuck you up. Okay. And I think that that's going to fuck you up in the long term, because it's going to compound, especially if you're not talking about it freely with somebody. So there's my rant. Let me tell you my story. So it was this fucking guy. I remember him. He's dead now. But I got a call to go to this guy's house, and he was on conditions. And so we go to this guy's house, and I can't remember what the call was for. Some sort of disturbance, okay? Go to this guy's house, and this guy had nothing behind his eyes. Nothing. And I was there with one of my partners, but I think he was just off FTO, the guy I was with. And that doesn't mean he couldn't fight, because he could fight, but still, like, we weren't that big. Like, I'm 5'6", and he was like maybe 5'7" or 5, maybe 5'8", maybe. I don't even think so. And this guy's like fucking 6 foot something, nothing behind his eyes, tattooed up, starts telling us stories about how he's been in prison and he's not afraid to kill a cop. Okay. And like, I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, so I'm going back and forth in my head, because typically I wouldn't put up with that shit for a second. I'd be like, you know what? You just fucking threatened me. Fucking unloading your ass. Fuck you. But then I started doing the fucking pros and cons here. And I'm like, this guy's going to go for my gun. Like, I know it. He's going to either go for my gun. He's going to go for my partner's gun. Neither one of us are huge. This guy's fucking got nothing behind his eyes. Nothing behind his eyes. It was like one of the most scariest fucking things I've ever had to deal with. Because those people, and like, the thing is, you guys, he wasn't even on drugs. He didn't give a fuck. He was just a bad dude. And like, and he had kids in the house, and his wife, I don't know where the fuck she was. She was around somewhere, but like, just talking with him, like, I can just picture the conversation that I had with him that night. And it scared me. I'm like, all right, like, it was some bullshit disturbance. It wasn't like one I had to make an arrest on. And I'm like, all right, fuck that. Like, I'm not making an arrest right now, because it is not worth fucking me getting killed, my partner getting killed, or getting my ass handed to me severely. And he'd probably like fucking bury me in the backyard. Nobody would even know about it. Right? Like, that's this guy. And I remember going home and talking to Adam about it that night. And I being like, I've got to tell you, like, this fucking guy was the first time I was shaking when I got back in my car. Like, I was just, from like all that like adrenaline, I was like fucking shaking. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, that guy could kill me and he wouldn't even care. And I remember telling Adam about it, going home and like, I talked a little bit with my partner about it, but like, I knew he was fucking shitting a brick too, but he, again, wasn't going to admit it to me. And I know that, like, hello, like, we're police officers, right? Like, you have to be this like persona, and like, part of the persona is definitely being, you know, tough and being the one that's going to handle all those shit. You know what I mean? Like, I get that. I totally get that. Like, but at the same time, like, I really think that we're forgetting that we're fucking humans here, and that we have real fucking and real emotions, and they matter, and they fucking matter, you guys. And like, I know, like, when you come home, like, your spouse is like probably got all these questions and like got their own fears and stuff, but like, just even if you only like confide in your spouse, or you have someone, or, you know, you need to just fucking be like, yeah, like, I get fucking scared. Like, true. What's up? Like, I'm fucking human. I get scared, but do I let the fear stop me? You know what I mean? And like, that's the second thing, is like, do we become so afraid that we are like paralyzed in our boots? No, because if I would have been dead a long fucking time ago, and you would be too, you know, and that's not good backup, and you're not a good cop if that is what happens. You know, and we know that. We've seen those kinds of people, and especially in the military, you know what I mean? Like, we cannot have those people fighting for us and fighting for our country. But what we can do is that we can really come together and know that it's okay to feel your fear and to feel afraid about shit. And it's real. It's what makes you human. And don't lose that part that makes you human. Okay, Sheepdog Nation. Like, I just, you know, I'm not going to lie about it. Like, I get so fucking sick and tired of, like, I scroll through Instagram, and of, you know, of course, like, we're all kind of doing the same shit. Like, we all use the same hashtags: thin blue line, back the blue, thin blue family. You know what I mean? Fucking whatever, cops, law enforcement, all those hashtags. And like, so I'll scroll through and like see what's up and like creep on y'all and be like, what's my family doing, you know? And I just get so fucking sick and tired of seeing the same ones. Everyone's working out. Everyone's got these big ass muscles. Everyone's not afraid of shit. Everyone's fucking Batman, Superman, Superwoman, Batwoman, whatever. And I'm like, all right, I need some reality. Someone please bring me some motherfucking reality. Like, reality, dude. Like, what's real? What's real is, yeah, you work out. That's fucking good. But you may or may not have a fucking six pack. You may or may not fucking have fucking 12 fucking inch muscles on your arms. Like, you probably don't, because I'm going to tell you, like, most of the cops that I fucking worked with, they didn't. They had none of that. Like, but that doesn't mean they weren't in fighting shape, and that doesn't mean that they couldn't fucking handle their own, and it doesn't mean that they weren't good cops. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just think that like we're not shedding light on like true problems, and what's going on is, especially in social media, like, this is probably should be a whole topic. Like, I'll talk about it another time, but like, especially like, social media. So we're going to talk about this for a minute. You know how like in like the workout and like the physique world, that like social media like can really cause people to like shit on themselves because of like they see these like people with these bodies or whatever, and they shit on themselves. They feel awful about themselves because they don't, like they don't have a six pack, or like they're not super, super thin, or they're not jacked, or they don't have a butt like hers, or, you know what I mean? They don't have arms like him and whatever. And then like, as like social media has like kind of exploded, and especially on Instagram, like, we find people like getting super depressed about themselves, or like we find people getting like really like hard on themselves because like they don't look like what they see on Instagram, right? Well, it's the same thing, I believe, in the police world, because, we have a lot of police officers and like agencies that are now cool with like officers like kind of creating their own brands online, and which is really cool. Here's the problem, excuse my yawn, is that I'm asking you, how much of that is really real? How much? Because I'm going to tell you, when I was on the road, did I take pictures of me working out? Yes. Okay. And do I think that, I think it's important to like really inspire other officers to like, let's take photos of us training on how to fight. Let's take like photos of us fighting, eating, fucking working out, fucking hanging out, and like reality, like what's real. And like, let's show like our lives, and like show people like we're human, and show other officers and inspire them. Like, some people, like a lot of the newer cops, like think they need to fucking every single one of their days off, they need to be shooting their guns. They need to be fucking doing 10-mile runs. They need to spend hours in the gym. They need to watch all the cop shows. They need to be completely up on all the news. And like, it's going to burn you out so fast. But like, that's what's kind of like being shown on social media all the time, right? Like, you're either a cop or you're not. Like, and it's like, and like, we obviously, like, all the photos of us in uniform blow up, but like the ones of us just being real, they're not as popular. And like, I just think that like, just take a minute to really fucking like let that sink in for a minute, just because like, do we think that maybe because like we're really creating this persona of like what a cop is, even though that's not a cop is us. We're human. You know what I mean? And a cop is so many things, but like first and foremost, we're fucking human, and we have emotions, all of them, and we feel all emotions. Cops just have to put a lot of those emotions in check for a while, but when they go fucking off duty, they need to feel those emotions, because if not, you are going to become angry. You are going to become pissed off. You're going to become resentful. You're going to hate your supervisors. You're going to hate everyone you work with. You're going to hate your spouse. You're going to hate your fucking kids. You're going to fucking hate your families. You're going to hate all of your friends. And then what? Then you're going to go and you're going to grab alcohol. You're going to go, or what's worse is you're going to go fucking get pills, and you're going to become addicted because you need to be numb. You need to numb the pain. And then what happens? You get fucking depressed because you can't numb the pain, because the pain is just fucking so bad. Then what happens? I don't know. Maybe you go to fucking work and you're hungover, but you're like to that point where you're still drunk and you probably shouldn't be at work. You know what I'm saying? And then something bad happens. What happens is your mind is not clear. Your brain lacks clarity because you have been trying to numb it, because you're fucking wicked upset, because you're depressed. And then what fucking happens? Bad shit. You can't make good calls. You're making bad calls. Then it snowballs. Then, you're getting in trouble with your supervisors, and everyone around you is noticing you're changing, and then you're getting pulled up in the fucking supervisor's office. And then what? Nobody wants to deal with that. And so then you're getting like super upset about that, right? And like, then what fucking happens? I don't know. I don't know what happens. I mean, it could be a multitude of things, but that snowball effect, that's real. That's so fucking real. Sorry about my phone going off. That is fucking real. And here's the deal, you guys. We need to stop it. And I think that we stop it by I really feel like we stop it by like ending this cycle. And we become real, and we show our emotions, and we on Instagram, like we show who we really are, and we talk about these feelings, and we go home and we talk to our spouses or our friends or whoever, and we're just fucking real. Dude, I had a call last night, scared the fucking shit out of me. Holy fuck, right? Like, that's real, y'all. That's fucking real. So I just think that this could really fucking, if you can just get with me and you could just hear me out on the subject of, we need to start feeling our feelings. I just really think it's gonna start a whole fucking new like movement in law enforcement, and especially on social media, and how people perceive us, because then, we obviously know that there's a divide, but people think we're robots, and on duty, we kind of need to be, you know what I mean? But off duty, we don't need to be, and we are human, and we need to not only show ourselves that we're humans and get that fucking in check, especially if you want to save your fucking marriage and if you want to have a relationship with your kids, because that's a huge problem in law enforcement and marriages and stuff. And I can tell you, I see it a lot in my own, and I have to, Adam and I we have a lot of conversations around it. It was on both sides when I was, on duty too, is we just become short and numb to feeling anything between ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, and what I mean by that is like, fucking things would happen that would send normal people right up and spin, and we would just be like, okay, we don't give a shit. And like, his family might get pissed off, because I'm not feeling like upset about something, or my family would get pissed off at him because like he's not getting upset about something. And like our friends and families like couldn't understand, right? Like why is Autumn, or why is Adam like reacting like this? And it's just honestly because we just got so numb. We just become so numb to fucking feeling things and feeling emotions. And so then you kind of do become like non-human, and that is not good, because your spouse needs your feelings. Like, your family needs you to be human, and they need your feelings, And I just want to bring this to your awareness, because honestly, I just don't think anybody else is. And I just think it's a conversation that we need to be having. I just see it so much. And like, I see a lot on social media, and I saw it firsthand as a cop and every agency I worked for. But I think the survivors of law enforcement are real. There's a supervisor I had, and I can tell you, and I'm sure that you know it, okay? But there's not a whole lot of like amazing supervisors, right? And so when you have an amazing supervisor, or you've had the opportunity to work for one, like that person like will always be in your head, right? I had the opportunity to work for this supervisor who he actually recently just got promoted to chief. So congratulations, Chief Mills. That's fucking amazing. The thing about him is he's so fucking real that like he's not a robot, and like you can just tell like he just like wasn't afraid to like just fucking level with you. I mean, the deputy chief, he was the major, which is the deputy chief's position. I mean, he'd come down, he would train with us, and he would fucking like talk with us and have like real like conversation too, And I just think that like having real conversation and like not looking to fuck you over, like that is priceless. Like when you were up in his office, like you better have your fucking shit together. You know what I mean? Closed doors, like you need to have your shit together. But like, if his office door was open, you were just going in there to shoot the shit, or like, like he was downstairs, in the patrol room, just shooting the shit with us. Like, and he'd come in like every morning for briefing. Like he'd come in and just literally, he was just one of the guys. And like, he'd just pick on you. Like you were just one of the guys, and it was awesome. And like, I really feel like that doesn't happen. And anyways, and so what I'm trying to say is like, I feel like he's a survivor of law enforcement because he's just so fucking real. And like his leadership of just showing the guys, like, why don't you just be human? Like, you can fucking, yeah, like that fucking sucked, man. Like, let's talk about that. Like, that fucking sucked. That call sucked. Like, stop acting like it didn't fucking suck. Like, the fact that, like, we had an officer involved shooting, like, the fact that happened, like, that sucked. Like, let's talk about that, because not talking about it and not acting like it didn't happen, like, or acting like it didn't happen, like, that is going to fuck everyone up 10 times more than if, like, a supervisor is just like, okay, let's talk about this. And I've had a couple of those supervisors. Well, I had another one after that. No, I had about two. Him, and then at his same agency, there was another sergeant. He was fucking amazing. And he talked to me about, like, real life stuff. And because I would always ask him about, like, his wife and, like, his spouse and, like, his kids and, like, how it was for him, because I mean, he worked all the time, and, like, his schedule was a hard schedule, and, like, he's one of those guys that have been in the job for like 25 years. And so, like, I wanted real fucking life answered shit, like, real life. Like, I need to know real life. Like, how the fuck are you still married? And how do you have two kids that are happy and, like, want to hang out with you, And, like, he would talk to me about that shit. And I just think, you guys, these are the conversations, like, we kind of need to be having, you know what I mean? Like, and when you're at training, fucking yeah, man, like, obviously it's all fucking, guns and fucking egos there, right? But, like, find it within you to stop being such a dickhead to everybody. And, like, if someone's showing a little emotion, why don't you fucking find your emotion and fucking be a human? Because that's what's going to keep us together as a family. That's what's going to keep us together as survivors of law enforcement. And that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to really fucking save lives. And, I can't unfortunately go out and, stop every cop killer before they fucking kill us. But as far as, like, the suicide rate, this is huge. Feel your fucking feelings. Feel your emotions. After all, you are human. I hope this episode meant something to you. It means a ton to me. If you liked it, if you made it all the way to the end, you're a fucking badass, obviously. But secondly, if you could just share this out, if you could please just take a moment, share this out, leave a comment, leave a review, and help me spread the word, because I can't do it on my own. And I guarantee you know somebody who could benefit from listening to this episode. If you are not following me on Instagram, I don't know why the fuck you're not. Come hang out with me at the Lady Sheepdog. Again, if you are a female or you know a female, because I know a lot of y'all must know some female who's either on the job, could use some sisterhood, or who fucking wants to get on the job, send her my way, okay? Because the Lady Sheepdog Academy, what I created, it's the first in the nation. I've never seen anything like it. And we're already getting results, and it's fucking amazing. Okay? All right. I'm going to see you guys next week. Thank you again for being here. I'll talk to you later.